गृहे थाको माने थाको सदा हरि बोले ढाको गृहे थाको वने थाको सदा हरि बोले ढाको सुखे दुखे भूलो ना को वदने हरि नाम करो रे सुखे दुखे भूलो ना को वदने हरि नाम करो रे माया जाले बथा आचो मीछे काजलो माया जाले बथा आचो मीछे काजलो को नाचे तन पे राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे एको नाचे तन पे राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे जीवन होइलो भजी ऋषि जीवन होइलो ना भजिले ऋषि भक्ति उपदेश एक बार नाम रसे मतुरे भक्ति विनोदोपदेश एक बार नाम रसे मतुरे गाय गौर मधुर स्वरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण
Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful Kirtan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's begin with our prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada. So we have to start chapter 13 today. We finished chapter 12 last weekend. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness, Kshetra, Kshetrajna Yoga. So summary of chapter 12 from 12.1 to 12.7, Bhakti over Impersonalism. Arjuna asked a question and Krishna answered. And then in Krishna explained from 12.8 to 12.12, progressive stages of devotion from highest to lowest. From Ananya Bhakti, starting from Ananya Bhakti, he said, what all we can actually do. Then 12.13 to 12.20, qualities that endear one to Krishna. So the last 1/3 of Bhagavad Gita, that's what we are starting today. So Krishna, actually, after explaining so much, Arjuna has understood that we need to reach the lotus feet of Krishna. And so this knowledge is actually going to help us. This Jnana Yoga, the last 6 chapters, is going to help us to extricate ourselves from the material world and finally achieve Krishna. And progressive stages of devotion, which are very important. This is what happened. He said, become my Ananya Bhakta. If you can't do Ananya Bhakti, do Sadhana Bhakti. If you can't do that, do Nishkama Karma Yoga. Otherwise, do Sakama Karma, then develop knowledge. If you can't do that also, then develop knowledge. Then if not knowledge will slowly lead a person to meditation. And Krishna says renunciation is better than meditation. And then we also saw qualities. So many qualities were listed. Krishna himself said, what are the qualities of a pure devotee? And he also said a devotee is equal to enemies and friends. Now, chapter 13, we'll go over the summaries. Arjuna's 6 questions, which are very important. He said, Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Niyam. What are these? And then that was in 13.1. And then in the next few verses, 13.2 to 13.7, Krishna answers the question 3, 4, and the field of activities and the knower of the field. The next 8 to 12, Krishna further answers to question 5, the process of knowledge and liberation. And then next few verses, Krishna further answers question 6, the object of knowledge. And Krishna answers question 1 and 2, Prakriti, Purusha, and their union. And the last few verses, 27 to 35, Jnana Chakshusha, the vision of knowledge. So let us start understanding all this. Okay, 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita. First part, first 6 chapters, they deal with all this. Karma, this is what was discussed. Action on the platform of knowledge, perfection of actions, actions performed to please Lord Krishna, Bhakti Yoga. Next, in the middle 6 chapters, it was all about Bhakti Yoga. Then last 6 chapters, Jnana, knowledge, perfection of Jnana, which will lead to Bhakti Yoga. So it is divided into 3 sections. Now we'll understand. If Bhakti is the culmination, why is Jnana presented in the last 6 chapters? We already discussed Bhakti. Now why are we understanding Jnana now in the last 6 chapters? What's the purpose? In truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti. The first 6 chapters discuss how to achieve Bhakti through work. So now next, the last 6 describe how to achieve it through knowledge, and the middle 6 discuss Bhakti itself. Also in the 12th chapter, Krishna explained how he personally delivers his devotees from birth and death. So the last 6 chapters provide the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from the material world. Jnana has its use in assisting our detachment from Maya and our attachment to Krishna. Hence, when we use knowledge as a means to attain devotion, it becomes part of bhakti. So actually a bhakta actually has knowledge. He has complete knowledge about his constitutional position, what is material nature, who is the Lord, and what is relationship with the Lord, everything. He has complete knowledge. A Bhakta actually has knowledge. So this knowledge, what is present in the last 6 chapters, are going to help a person get closer to Krishna. Arjuna's 6 questions, which are very important. Now let us see in the first 2 verses what really is going on. Arjuna said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, Purusha, that is nature and the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the end of knowledge." It sounds like a lot of words, technical, lot of technical terms are used, like so much. Let's see what exactly he means. So the blessed Lord then said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Now, Arjuna is inquisitive. He wants to know what is Prakriti. Prakriti is nothing but nature. So Purusha. Purusha means enjoyer. Actually, Purusha means the enjoyer. So one who is actually, we are also that way enjoyer. But the only enjoyer is Krishna only. Krishna is the only enjoyer. So in that way, everything else is Prakriti. Kshetra is the field. Kshetrajna is now knower. See, the field is the body. One who knows the body is the knower. Kshetrajna. Like if I know about my body, I become the Kshetrajna. But there are 2 Kshetrajnas, one the soul and the super soul. We'll learn that in the next few chapters, verses. And Jnana, knowledge. Jnana is knowledge. And Niyam, the object of knowledge. So Krishna answers, the body is field of activity for the conditioned soul, and kshetra, that is kshetra, the body is the kshetra, and one who knows, one who owns the body, it's called the knower of that body, kshetrajna. So we know what is kshetra and what is kshetrajna now. Let's see. Now here in this table, we see everything so clearly. Prakriti is material nature. Where do you get this answer? In these verses, 22, 26. Purusha is enjoyer of Prakriti. Kshetra is the body, Shariram, Kshetrajna, observer in the body, soul, super soul, knower in all bodies. Super soul is knower of all the bodies. See, I can understand only my body, what is happening within myself. But Krishna, the super soul, the supreme, knows about each and every body, everything that is happening everywhere else. So, Gnanam, knowledge, understanding Kshetra and Kshetrajna, that is knowledge. Vyayam, goal of knowledge. Paramatma is the goal of knowledge. So what happens when a living entity is actually enlightened by karma kanda actions, by all his pious activities, he reaches the stage where he's enlightened. At that time, he actually starts approaching the Lord for different reasons. Because when he's distressed for want of money, when he's inquisitive, when he's looking for knowledge, when all these different reasons we saw. Now, when we in this chapter, we learn how we living entities have come in contact with material nature in the first place, and how we are delivered by the Supreme Lord. So, and this deliverance of the conditioned and conditioned souls by the Supreme Lord happens through different processes. It could be through fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, or discharge of devotional service. But ultimately, we know devotional service is what is the easiest and the final goal of all the living entities. Now, let's see. This is an example for us to understand Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and all this. Say, for instance, there is this farmer, a citizen, okay? He owns this patch of land and he knows everything about this land. You ask him the dimensions and what grows here and what is there, everything, he'll know everything. But so because he is the proprietor of this land, but the king, who is the original proprietor, will have information not just about his palace, about the entire kingdom, all the properties, everything that exists in that kingdom. So the citizen knows this. So the example given, see the son, for instance, knows about the land next to this land also. We can see from up. So now, what is perfect knowledge? To know the constitutional body, constitution of the body, constitution of the individual soul, and the constitution of the super soul. That is knowledge. Now, this example is given here to understand that, see, I know about my body. So I'm not the body. So that information was given in the second chapter itself. Now, since we are not the body, we are just the Kshetragnas, but the super soul knows about each and every body. That is Ishvara. So we have to understand the position of Prakriti, nature, the enjoyer of this nature, and Ishvara, the knower who controls nature and the individual soul. That is Ishvara. Ishvara's position is completely different from ours. Ishvara is here is referred to Krishna only. So the Prabhupada writes in this purport, do not confuse the painter, the painting and the easel. In the sense, if there is a painting, definitely there is a painter. How did the painting come to existence? We can't say, the easel just created it or the brush just did something or anything, right? So there is a painter, there is a painting and the easel. So we should know the difference between all this. The material world is nature, the living entity is the enjoyer, and above them there is a supreme controller, the personality of Godhead. So this information looks very simple, like we feel like we already know this. Why is this being explained? But if we look in the society, look around, go to the library and pick up books and read about different articles written by different all kind of philosophers, they don't give this information. They say we'll just a monism. It's called monism. They think it's all one. And then people, these Mayavadis are there. All kind of philosophies floating around, saying that we'll all merge one day. All this. So this information is very important because this Krishna is saying this. And then Brahman conception. This also is explained in this verse, in this purport. So Brahman, the field of activities also is Brahman. Jiva, the individual soul is also referred as Brahman. And the controller, the original controller, the factual controller, controller of Prakriti and the individual soul, he is also referred to as Brahman. So there are three Brahman conceptions. So what is Brahman? It can refer to one of these. All these three are referred as Brahman only. It depends on the context how the item is discussed. So discussion in this purport 1 to 2. You after the class, if you open the book and read the purport, it will make more sense. Kshetra is the body, which is easy to understand. Who gets body as the field of activity? Conditioned souls. Okay, why do we get a body? Why does he get this field? Why do we get this? This is a field. Body is a field where the soul is actually performing a lot of things. Soul is entrapped in material existence because of his attempts to lord it over. We are trying to control Prakriti. Criteria. What is the criteria? Criteria to decide which body according to the capacity to dominate material energy. According to our capacity to dominate material energy and enjoy sense gratification, we get a field of activity. See, if you see different organisms around us, different animals, they have different capacity to enjoy. There's that is their field of activity. Now, their body gives them there are some limitations and there are some advantages also of having that kind of a body. So, but human body, it gives us a lot of benefits actually. That's why we should not waste this human life. So, according to the capacity to dominate material energy, according to the capacity to enjoy sense gratification, we get a particular kind of body to function accordingly. It could be a mosquito or a fish or a dog or whatever, it's got that kind of a body based on its desire and the capacity to enjoy. Now, see, Kshetrajna, knower of the field. How to understand the difference between the body and the knower of the body? I'm not the body, I'm the soul. It's easy to say theoretically, right? Based on changing phases of the body. So this is all actually Sankhya. Like, how do we understand this body is actually not me? Because when I was 5 years old also, or it was in college or whatever time it is, you pick a person is, say, he's 80 years old. Inside, he'll have the same spirit of a young teen boy. Inside, he'll be feeling the same. But externally, when he looks in the mirror, his body would have changed. So the body is undergoing changes, but you are the same person inside, right? You don't feel any different at all, except bodily some you can feel how the body is not cooperating maybe because of age, but inside you're not different. Based on changing phases of the body, then intuitive understanding. Okay. Comparison of knowledge in 3 sections. Chapters 1 to 6 discusses the knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. See, from childhood to old age, we undergo so many changes. And then we are entrapped in this condition. We are all conditioned souls. That's why we call it entrapped in the material existence. So a conditioned soul, what does he actually do? He tries to lord it over material nature. He wants to enjoy this nature, enjoy, sense gratification. And the body is made of senses. How does he enjoy? The body is made of senses. So based on whatever capacity the body is giving him, based on our capacity, we have got this body. And using these senses, we're actually trying to control the material nature. Now this first 6 chapters, knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. Now then, 7 to 12, what does it discuss? The Supreme Personality of Godhead in the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul. What is my relationship with the super soul? There are two Kshetragnas sitting in the heart. One is the soul, individual soul, Jivatma, and the other one is the super soul. So what is the relationship between them? And then it describes the superior position of Krishna and subordinate position of living entity. Krishna is saying, I pervade the whole creation. Am I pervading the whole creation? Can I be in two places? No. So that we are not equal. We can never become God. We'll never become equal to God also. 4 kinds of pious men who approach the Lord. That is also discussed in these chapters. Now, last 6 chapters explains how the living entity comes in contact with the material nature. Explains how living entity is delivered by the Lord through different methods. And then see, and sometimes we say, I'm happy, I'm a woman, I'm a dog, I'm a cat. All these are bodily designations. Now, Arjuna is a Kshatriya. That is a bodily designation. That's a temporary title. In the next birth, he will not have the same name also. He will probably not have, he will not be a Kshatriya. He will be somewhere else. Whatever, it depends on Krishna, where he wants to take him and in what form. They are Nara Narayan Rishis actually. They are eternal associates. So Arjuna is always with the Lord, serving him. But Kshatriya, born to Kunti, Kaunteya, all these are temporary designations. So, like that's what we say, our clothes, we say our things. So, there's a difference. I'm not the body, everything is temporary. Kshetra is temporary, Kshetragna is not. Kshetragna is the soul who is eternal. So, under any condition, the individual soul is always subordinate. We should not forget that. That is the constitutional position. The moment we forget that I am subordinate to God, our suffering begins. We should know that the Lord is in control. Our relationship is such that we are always subordinate to the Lord and He is in control of everything that is going on. So we should never forget our constitutional position. Krishna answers question 3, 4, and 5, the field of activities, the knower of the field, and the knowledge. Now let's see how he answers this. This is a very interesting slide. Mataji, would you like to recite Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. May I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Would you like to recite the sloka also?
Yes, Mataji.
Sure. Okay.
I don't have the hard copy, Mataji. Can you just share this? Yeah.
It's there. Yeah.
क्षेत्रज्ञं कापि मामे विधि सर्वक्षेत्रेषु भारत क्षेत्रज्ञयोर्ज्ञानं यततज्ज्ञानं मतं मम. O son of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So there are 3 topics of study: the Lord, the living entity, and matter. Lord, living entity, matter. That's all it is. Okay. And there are 2 souls in every field of activities. In every body, there are 2 souls. One is the individual soul and super soul. That is clear. So out of the 2 knowers, one is fallible. It has mistakes. We are actually fallible. The Lord is not. He's infallible. He's superior. He's the controller. We are fallible because, why are we fallible? Because we have 4 defects. We have tendency to commit mistakes. We can be under illusion. We can cheat. And also conditioned souls have imperfect senses. Our senses are not perfect. That is why we are fallible. And here we see 3 levels of consciousness is given. It is explained in Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now you see in this first stage, it's called Jagruti Avastha, awake. The next one is Swapna, third one is Shushupti. So in the Jagruti Avastha, what is happening? We are awake. We actually is conscious. We are conscious of what's going on around. This person is actually sitting. He's actually, performing something, some activities. So he's actually awake. So in the light sleep stage, Swapna Avastha, we are in the subtle body. We are not in the body. We are in the subtle body, dreaming, creating some other thing. In the dream state, that's what happens. In the deep sleep state, Shushupti Avastha, there is no dream. We forget who we are. We're completely, we have forgotten everything, complete deep sleep state. And we even forget our relationship with a family, surroundings, everything. And then, but in all these stages, they are active. The knowers are active. The soul is also active. The super soul is also active. One thing we must remember is we'll see the soul is always looking away from the super soul. In all these 3 levels, both are awake, but these are just 3 levels of consciousness every living entity goes through. Now let's go over this. Lord Krishna defines Kshetragna and Gnanam. Answer to 4th question. Kshetragna. There is also a second knower of all fields, the super soul. Okay, he's telling you think you know everything about your body, but there's a second knower. I'm sitting in your heart. That's what he's telling. See, these shlokas are so direct, but science cannot prove it. You cannot. You open the heart, do you see Paramatma there? No, you cannot see with your bare eyes, right? We cannot. Even if you take a microscope, you won't be able to see. But this is what Krishna is saying. Then for the 5th question, he's saying Gnanam. To understand body and its knowers, super soul and soul. If you can understand this, that means you have knowledge. Knowledge to study the subject matter of the field of activity, how the body functions, and the knower of the field very minutely. Field of activity is the body. 2 kinds of knowers, super soul and the individual soul. This is very clear now, right? If any question that comes in the quiz also, this much anybody can answer now. How Krishna is the knower? Super soul is the plenary expansion of Krishna. Krishna says, I am also the knower, but not the individual knower of the body. He is present in every body as the super knower. He says he pervades the whole creation, and he also is present as his expansion. His expansion, which is Paramatma, is present in every living entity's heart. So this much is clear. Difference between soul and super soul. 2 knowers and their differences. The super soul always accompanies the soul. We are never alone. We say we are depressed, I'm lonely, I'm that and this. But the super soul is always with the soul. When we give up this body, nobody goes with us. We know that. But Krishna accompanies us. He's there with us. He's the only well-wisher. It's just that we are looking away from him. Otherwise, he's always there trying to guide us. Living entities are known as Jivatmas, souls, super soul. God as maintainer is known as Paramatma. Soul is infinitesimally small, Anu Atma, whereas super soul is Jivatma, Vibhu Atma, sorry. Anu Atma, Vibhu Atma. Anu Atma is size of the soul is 1/10,000th the size of the tip of the hair. Super soul is Vibhu, infinite. And the soul is cognizant of one's own body, individual knower. And super soul cognizant of everyone and everything, super knower. So we don't have to really open our mouth and talk. Krishna can see the heart. He knows everything, what is going on inside, outside, past, present, future, everything. The super soul has record of everything that has happened to hundreds and thousands of births. The super soul knows. He's a witness. He sits as a witness in the heart, watching every thought, every action, everything that we are doing, everything is accounted for. So that is what the super soul is doing. Soul is secondary proprietor for one body. Analogy is citizen as the proprietor of one land. We saw that image, right? Then super soul is the supreme proprietor of all the bodies. King. Analogy was king is the proprietor of all lands. Soul is a secondary controller of senses. Analogy is citizens have a secondary control of activities. It was given. Supreme Lord is the supreme controller of all the senses, Rishikesha. That's why it's called Rishikesha. Analogy given is king is the original controller of all activities. King controls all the activities in the kingdom. Just like that. The Lord controls all the senses. He's the master of the senses. Rishikesha. And soul is fallible, super soul is infallible. Soul is a loving servitor, subordinate. What is our constitutional position? We are serving the Lord. That's all. Whether we agree or disagree, that does not matter. Like how that day we were discussing, we are all under the control of the government. Whether you follow if you follow the rules, good. We'll be good citizens. We agree, we accept, or we whatever. We have to. Some way or the other, we are inside the jail or outside the jail. The government is only controlling. If somebody is not following the rules, commit offenses and all, they'll be pushed inside the jail. There also the government is only controlling. So where is actual, a person who understands this, I am nothing but a loving servitor of the Lord, he's actually liberated. Because that day he'll really be very happy. He'll just serve the Lord, he'll try to connect everything with Krishna. So that is our position. Eternally a loving master. He's a loving master. He's not forcing. He cannot say. It's like somebody saying, "Can you please love me? Can you please love me?" You cannot force someone to love you, right? So he's not forcing us. He has a lot of the kind of love he has for us. It can't be measured at all. But he's not going to force us. He's given us this free will. It depends. If we use that independence, little freedom we have to serve him and get closer to him, then our life is perfect. If not, some way or other we'll meet Krishna anyway. Kamsa met Krishna as death. So like that, in some way or other, we'll have to meet him. Innumerable living entities are there. Okay. There's so many souls. But the super soul is in the heart of every living entity, and within every atom, still there is only one super soul. Okay. Mataji, would you like to recite this one? Mataji, Hare Krishna. And there are others also. Whoever wants to recite, please raise your hand so that it's easier. It's usually Anjali Mataji or Vinda Mataji, Others also can try. It depends.
Okay.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mataji. Takshetram yachyadrucha yadvikari yatashcha yat sa cha yo yat pravascha tat samasena me shrunu. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted. What its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, what his influences are. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay, Krishna is saying we have to know how our body is constituted, materials of which this body is made of, and this body is working under whose control, how the body changes, how the body changes are happening, how does all this take place, where are the changes coming from, what are the causes of all the changes, what is our ultimate goal, what is the actual form of the individual soul. All this you must know, he's telling. And we should know the difference between, very important, Prabhupada keeps repeating this, you should know the difference between the individual living soul and the super soul. That is why we need to understand Bhagavad Gita directly from the description given by Krishna himself, not from someone who is writing their own mental concoction. We never know what they come up with. This is Vyasa Muni. Krishna actually, he does not need to give references, but he actually talks about Vedanta. So that is why here we have Vyasa Muni here, who wrote Vedanta Sutra. Mataji, please recite this one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Rishira Bahuda Gitam Chandor Vividhaiha Pruthak Brahma Sutra Paideshaiva Hetum Dvaira Vinishyaitehi. I and the various other living entities are all transcendental, although in material bodies. I should read this also. The Vedanta Sutra also. The Vedanta Sutra also describes the Supreme by saying, Anandamayo Bhyasata, the Supreme
Abhyasa.
Personality of Godhead is Abhyasata. Anandamaya Abhyasata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature full of joy. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we'll discuss this, don't worry. So that knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of the activities described by various sages in various Vedic writings. This Krishna is saying this, See, he is the highest authority in explaining this knowledge, but in spite of that, he is referring to a scripture, Vedanta, which is accepted as authority. So all the learned scholars and all this, all the authorities, they always give evidence from previous authorities. They won't say anything by themselves. So he's saying this is according to different sages. Whatever knowledge I'm presenting to you, it is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra. What is Vedanta Sutra? It is actually like a coded language. It is like, instead of giving you a lot of information, in coded few words, it is given. The cause and the effect will be understood immediately by one code. It is like that. Okay. In the sense, now see, here it is Anandamayo Abhyasat. What does that mean? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature full of joy. And there are a lot of, it's full of that only. It talks about cause and effect, It's like that. So he's giving references here, and he talks about 5 stages of Brahman realization. We already studied those 5 stages: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Jnanamaya, and then Anandamaya. We studied these stages, right? We're going to study that again here. So that also Krishna explains again. So to enjoy this, the transcendental bliss, like how the Supreme Lord is called Anandamaya, is transcendental to all this field of activities. Anandamaya is completely full of joy. That is why we also, our nature of the soul is to be happy, because qualitatively we are just like the Lord. Only quantitatively we are different, qualitatively we are the same. But to enjoy this transcendental bliss, we have to, make progress. So that we'll understand the different stages. And then another thing that is given is the Lord, to enjoy his transcendental activities, to enjoy his pastimes and transcendental bliss, he expands into Vijnanamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, and Annamaya koshas. All this information is in the purport only. You can actually get it very easily. Now let's move on and try to understand here the different stages. Annamaya, we have already done this before, if you remember. In the previous chapters, we already studied 5 stages of Brahman realization. Brahma Pucham. This is also called Brahma Pucham. In Annamaya, it's bodily platform. Okay, this is the manifestation of the Supreme Lord's energy, known as Annamaya, which is like recognizing, realizing the supreme absolute truth in the form of food. Just dependence of food, dependence upon food for existence. That is the consciousness. It is like kind of mode of ignorance, you can say, because a living entity, he's convinced that he is the body. All he can think about is food, just food. That's all I know. What do you say? It's like Prabhuji gives this example. If he wants to eat, like he like, for instance, not eat. In the middle of the day also, you can go to a liquor shop and actually drink. If he feels like drinking, he'll go. That is the lowest consciousness. It's like the consciousness of a baby. Baby put everything in its mouth. He wants to taste, is this food? Is this food? That's how they taste different things, right? So they put everything in the mouth, and the consciousness is like, there's not much maturity there. So newborn baby, it can think about food, it can think about tiredness. I'm tired, I need food, basic, just body. It thinks only about its body. So that is the Annamaya platform, lowest consciousness. So a person who is little more advanced, okay, he can realize the absolute truth in the living symptoms of our life forms. That is pranamaya. That is, there will be sense, awareness, that I am alive. They engage in some work. They're not lazy. They engage in some work. It is like sensual platform. So consciousness of sense gratification is there. So this stage is between the body and mind. It's pranamaya platform. but they can regulate their senses. They're not like how we spoke about the baby, it's not that bad. They can actually regulate. In the middle of the day, if they feel like drinking, at least they'll say, no, no, this is nobody drinks in the afternoon. Let me wait for evening or wait for the weekend, that much she can regulate. These two stages, Annamaya and Pranamaya, even animals can achieve. So there's nothing so great about these two, okay? So these two stages, the living entities, they realize Krishna in the form of life, in the form of food. Next is Manomaya platform. Here realization extends beyond the living symptoms to the point of thinking, feeling, willing. Like, at this stage, a person may start wondering, I'm not the body, I'm not the senses. They become a little more inquisitive, mental platform. They become more curious, they start thinking, they'll start hearing classical music, they'll become a little philosophical also. So they'll start wondering, is eating the goal of my life? What am I supposed to do? They can actually manipulate the mind. Okay. So they realize Krishna in the form of mind. They speculate a lot. So they are free from lethargy though. They are not tired or um, lazy. Next is Vijnanamaya intellectual platform. In this, the living entity starts seeking spiritual identity, application of knowledge. An application of knowledge is actually the function of intelligence. So a Gnani, he understands, I'm not the body, I'm the mind. Why do I have to go through all this, what I'm going through? What is this birth? What is this death? What is this cycle of birth and death? He'll start gathering knowledge, and he will also realize the Sat and Chit potency, not bliss. At this stage, he will not experience any bliss, but he will have that potency, Chit and Sat Chit potency he will realize. So realizing Krishna in the form of knowledge, that is Vijnanamaya platform. And beyond that is, he could become Mayavadi also. In this platform, he can easily become a Mayavadi. Highest is Anandamaya platform. The supreme stage, Anandamaya, realization that all of the realization of what is a blissful nature. They are convinced and they are very much they're firmly established in the spirit soul, completely situated in spiritual identity. Example is Prabhupada himself. They're fully aware that they are part and parcel of the Lord, and they engage in devotional service, and they are always happy. Their happiness is nothing compared to our happiness. A person's happiness in Annamaya platform is different from the person's happiness in Anandamaya, that is bliss. They are always stable. Okay, they are completely happy. So the first three stages, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, they involve the field of activities of all the living entities. And it is like compared to IQ, this whole thing is compared to IQ, EQ, and SQ. So best thing is to develop SQ. In SQ, everything is included. All other knowledge is also included. And this Gnanamaya and Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya platform is specifically seen only in human beings, not in animals. Okay. So this is only for human beings because our human body is giving us so many facilities to actually make progress and reach this Anandamaya platform. Annamaya, Pranamaya, that even animals can get to that stage. That is basically animal stage, the first stage. Okay, who would like to read this one? Hare Krishna.
I will read, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. In the phenomenal manifestation, there are three stages: the stage of consciousness, the stage of semi consciousness in dreaming, and the stage of unconsciousness. But your Lordship is transcendental to all these different material stages of existence. You exist, therefore, in a fourth dimension, and your appearance and disappearance do not depend on anything beyond yourself. You are the supreme cause of everything. But of you there is no cause. You yourself cause your own appearance and disappearance. Despite your transcendental position, my Lord, in order to show your six opulences and advertise your transcendental qualities, you have to appear in your different incarnations: fish, tortoise, boar, Narsimha, Keshava, and others by your personal manifestation, and you have appeared as different living entities by your separated manifestations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. And then these are his incarnations and expansions. It is all his internal potency. It's all due to that, and he enjoys his transcendental bliss through all these activities. And then what we are also, we are part of the Lord, and we have those qualities. That's why we say the enjoyer. We are also enjoying, in the sense. What we should do is a living entity, that is us, human beings, all the jivas. If they enjoy whatever they're enjoying in dovetailing themselves with Anandamaya, then they become perfect. Who is Anandamaya? That is the Lord Himself. So serve the Lord, and that is real joy. If everything is done for Krishna, and that the bliss or that happiness that we actually experience, that is transcendental. So if we can actually dovetail all our activities with the Anandamaya, then our life becomes perfect. So we should understand who is the supreme knower and what our position is, and actually try to stay in that platform. Just serve him. And there's one more sentence here which we missed. By your internal potency, you appear as the different incarnations of Vishnu, and by your external potency, you appear as the phenomenal world. So this is all from Krishna book. Okay. Now, we are discussing the different elements of the field of activity. What is the field of activity? Again, it's the body. So, okay, I'll only read this.
Mataji, excuse me.
Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
in the material, the existence, right? Stages of existence. We talked about conscious mind, unconscious, and semi-conscious. So where does subconscious figure in these?
Okay, you're talking about that Swapna Avastha, Sushupti, and that one, right?
No,
Jagrati Avastha.
just yeah.
Yeah, when you are actually in a dream state, you are actually in that stage, Mataji. You're not really awake. So you are actually subconsciously, that mind is working. And when you are in the
Okay.
deep, yeah. So when you are actually in the dream state, it feels so real because you're actually there in the subconscious thing. And you feel like you're actually floating in the air, or probably you're on some ocean trying to surf the water. We don't know what all happens, and only when we are suddenly wake up, when we realize that it's a dream. Then we may feel like we're flying. So many things happen in the dream, right? So
Yeah. So
yeah.
the dream stage is subconscious, right? I understand that. The previous slide, Mataji. Can you go back to the previous slide? So
Mr.
so the
Mataji?
first paragraph, Mataji, you have those
Ah,
stages of, right? The three
yes.
stages of consciousness. Yeah. So where does this in the semi consciousness in dreaming, is that the subconscious part also, the stage of semi consciousness?
Yes, actually, both the Kshetragnas, they're always active, Mataji. Even if we are feeling like this is semi-consciousness, in the sense you are in the dream state. In the stage of unconsciousness, it's completely, that third stage, you are not even aware of anything. In the dream state, at least you feel like you're somewhere, some activity, something is going on, right, subconsciously. But in this unconscious state, you've forgotten everything. You don't even know where you are lying down, where your relationships, your job, your identity, everything is kind of zero here. You actually don't know what's going on. So these are the three stages that manifest actually in the consciousness. Yeah.
Okay, Mata. Thank you.
When we are awake, we are actually awake. See, right now we are awake, so we actually know what is going on. So, okay. Okay, I'll only read this. This is in 13.6 and 7. The 5 great elements. Which are the 5 great elements? It's here. We'll read this also, okay? The 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So actually, material world is a combination of the soul and the 24 material elements. It's a combination, this is all analytical study of the all this matter and spirit and all this. So if we actually make an analytical study of the 24 subjects, then we can understand the field of activity. And there are other, he's also mentioning desire, hatred, happiness, distress. These are all interactions. These are all a representation of the 5 great elements in the gross body. So the body is a representation of all these factors given here. And the body also undergoes changes. It grows, it stays for some time, it produces byproducts, and then it decays. The last stages, the body actually vanishes. So the field, as we know, is non-permanent, but the proprietor is different. Okay, this is all Sankhya. Now let us go over these 24 elements of the field of activity. The unmanifested, 3 modes of material nature, which unmanifested in the sense, pradhana is what happens when the dissolution happens, everything is destroyed. The material world completely destroyed. It's like imagine a building crashing down. Everything is on the ground. So you can't say which was the first floor, which was the second story, and where was the elevator, nothing. Everything is crushed and it's become powder right now. So that is unmanifested state. When everything, the Mahapralaya happens, everything is in that unmanifested state. But we all still exist. We are not going anywhere. Souls are eternal. It's just that we stay in that stage until we get another body. We just hang in there. So that is pradhana, unmanifested 3 modes of material nature, which are not yet, not exhibited. So that is pradhana, unmanifested 3 modes of nature. So these are 24 elements. If you count, it will become 24. 3 subtle elements, false ego, intelligence, and mind. They are subtle elements, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Okay, 5 gross, air, water, ether, fire, earth. We actually know that, right? These 5 we know, 5 gross elements, we all know. Then there are 5 sense objects, sound, taste, sight, smell, and touch. And then 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses. Knowledge acquiring senses are ears, tongue, eyes, nose, and skin. And working senses are voice, legs, arms, reproductive organs, and organs of evacuation. So he's telling all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interaction. So what is the body made of and how it's all interacting, how, the whole creation works, everything, that is Sankhya actually, understanding all these different elements and all. So the whole thing is working because everything is matter. It's all working because of the spirit. Otherwise, it's all matter. The whole world functions only because of the spirit. Discussion in the purport. Central theme of the purport indicates that field or body is a non-permanent material thing, and Kshetrajna or knower of the field is different from the field. Components of the fields of activities. We just saw those 5 great elements, 5 sense objects, 11 senses, including mind, sense, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Unmanifested stage of 3 material modes called pradhana. Together, they are 20. We just went over here, right? Let's go back to that. See here. 24 elements. Same thing is repeated here for our understanding again. Components of the field of activities. Whenever they mention field of activities, no need to get confused. Field of activity is nothing but our body. Interactions of gross and subtle body. Gross body, desire, hatred, happiness, distress. Subtle body, living symptoms, represented by consciousness and convictions. When we give up this body, Mataji, whoever is asking, our gross body we give up, but our subtle body goes with us. False ego, intelligence, that goes with us. Pradhana, 5 great elements are gross representation of false ego, technically called as materialistic conception or tamasa buddhi. intelligence in ignorance, which represent unmanifested three modes called pradhan. Mind, false ego, and intelligence, they are the subtle body. Basis of this knowledge, authorities as per 13.5. Okay. 6 changes in the body: takes birth, grows, stays, byproducts, it gives birth. I mean, it gives rise to different byproducts, and then decays, and then death. Vikaras, it's given here. 13.6 explains what the field of activities consist of, and 13.7 explains the transformation and the interactions of the field of activities. So this is all Sankhya, Sankhya, Sankhya. Some people like to understand how this word works. It's all philosophy, lot of Sankhya. Krishna further answers to question 5, the process of knowledge and liberation, in section C. Now, this is a very interesting verse. See, 13.8 to 12. Krishna is giving all these different qualities. He says anyone who cultivates these qualities will definitely attain him. We can actually extricate ourselves from the body, even though we are living in this body, if you can cultivate these activities. Okay, let's go over them one by one. Amanitvam adambitvam means humility, pridelessness. Okay, they all look like ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam. They all look like what is, it's very simple. Humility. I'm very, very humble. But actually, if you look around, what happens? A person can get hurt very easily. It shows in the sense, say, if somebody disrespected a person, he immediately feels hurt. He's looking for honor. He's looking for honor. Wherever he goes, he's looking for honor. If somebody doesn't honor him, he'll immediately feel like, oh, look, how dare he did not treat me properly. That person did not wish me good morning. This kind of things can affect a person. That shows that with what mode they are in, what kind of qualities they have. Amanitam, humility, like you see this Goswamis, how humble they are. They call themselves the most fallen souls, and they have given us such beautiful literature, like nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion. They have written so many things they have given us, and they call themselves, nothing. And imagine if they are, how humble they are. Amanitam, this is the quality of a devotee, very humble, humility. Adambitvam, pridelessness. Pridelessness, is pride that comes due to false prestige, false ego. What are we exactly? What do we own? Nothing at all. And what are we? Part and parcel of the Lord. So when this Akrura was going to meet Krishna, is given, he lost his pride also. And the description says, while going towards Vrindavan, he was thinking, why just the Lord? I'm going to pay obeisances to each and every cowherd boy over there. Because they are so special. They are getting Krishna's association every day. How special they must be to be so closely associated. So I'm going to pay obeisances to them also. They are no less. He's thinking like this. And he's actually coming from a very aristocratic background. He actually is working for Kamsa. Kamsa is more powerful than anybody over there. All this, but then see, no pride at all. He comes there, he rolls on the ground. He's just so happy to just see the footprints of the Lord. So he understands his position. Non-violence. According to us, non-violence means not causing bodily harm, not hurting another person, mentally, physically, not causing any kind of disturbance to anyone, all these definitions we come up with. But actually, you know what? He says, if we cannot raise another person's consciousness, if we can bring a person to Krishna consciousness, we also practice Krishna consciousness. And if you can raise another person's consciousness, that is actually real service. And if you don't do that, then you are not actually practicing non-violence. If you can make a change in another person internally, if they can, because spirituality is inside out. It is like if you become clean inside, it shows on the outside. It's like that. So tolerance, devotee is very, very tolerant. If you want to see examples, you can see again all these Goswamis, Prabhupada himself, how tolerant he was. Like, it took him so many years, but he was very determined, very tolerant, that kind of patience. living among hippies and in a foreign country with no, actually he carried only 40 rupees with him. And you can imagine what kind of consciousness he had, complete dependence on Krishna, and how much tolerant he must have been. We can't tolerate anything in the sense we have to practice, we have to practice. Now we're all in sadhakas, because if you look around, we'll say people cannot just wait in a line also sometimes. It is like that. So much disturbance happens in the world. But and we may very judgmental also. People are very judgmental. They can't tolerate, oh, this person is like that person like. Imagine you're sitting among the people who were eating all kind of meat, and they were dirty, they were drinking, smoking, they were doing drugs, and you were sitting and giving Bhagavatam class to such people. How tolerant and how merciful. So how can you, that's why you see this image here. How can a person, be like that? And cleanliness, internal cleanliness, external cleanliness, both are important. Okay, Arjavam, Acharyopasana, Shaucham. Okay, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, very important. We all need a spiritual master who can actually guide us. See, when we were in school, sometimes a child may feel very angry at the teacher. May feel like, this teacher is so rude. My God, she gave me this punishment. Who gave me so much homework? But the same child grows up and then he realizes whatever he is because of that teacher who actually corrected all his mistakes. She actually took him out of the darkness and threw him in the light. It's like a guru actually does that. He makes something out of us. He knows, he tells us who we are. We are all spiritual, spirit souls, and why are we here? What are we supposed to do? A supreme master, spiritual master can actually guide us. So approaching a bona fide spiritual master is very, very important. Then cleanliness, steadiness, stairyam, atma vinigraha, self-control, renunciation of the object of sense gratification. That is addictions, everybody, oh my God, people say, I can't live without pickles. I can't, I have to watch that movie 10 times. I can't have to do this. Sense gratification is nothing but we're satisfying our senses, which is, we can't control our senses. There are godasas. People who cannot control their senses are godasas. The one who can control their senses, master of the senses. If we can't control the senses, the mind will start controlling us. Then, the mind is like a monkey. It will make us dance properly. So, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification. A person can actually control. Absence of false ego. Anahankara. See, indriyartheshu vairagyam. Anahankara evacha. Anahankara is absence of false ego. The perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma mrityu chara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. And then there is asaktir anabhisvanga, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events. Whatever happens, a person is not disturbed. Pleasant situation, unpleasant situation, a person is not disturbed. Doesn't mean he becomes a stone. Arjuna is actually expressing himself. He's actually telling whatever he feels. He's feeling bewildered. He's feeling, disturbed. He's telling everything. Doesn't mean we will not have any feelings. It's just that we stay, our consciousness is very pure and constant and unalloyed devotion to me. And the faith does not waver at all. No matter what happens, Krishna is in control. That much faith and determination will be there. They will not fall so easily. A devotee completely believes that, Krishna is in control. Then Nityam sa samachitatvam. Ishtanishtopapatishu mai chanaya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini. Okay, here is it. Unalloyed devotion to me. Unalloyed. Aspiring means unalloyed devotion means nothing can check that devotion. Like Prahlad Maharaj, nothing. Throw the person in the fire also, he'll still be a devotee. That kind of very, like, there are many examples in Bhagavatam. That's why we choose Prahlad and all these great devotees. Aspiring to live in a solitary place. We never are alone. Devotee will be very happy if he gets some time alone. He'll sit and chant. He'll read some scriptures. He'll be very happy. He's not scared to be alone at all. But a person who is actually very disturbed, you can't leave him alone. We never know what activities he's up to. So a devotee whose consciousness is pure, what he does, he chants, he reads scriptures. He knows Krishna is with him all the time. We are never alone. Krishna is always with us. So detachment from the general mass of people. Even if you are sitting among all the materialistic people, a devotee can still stay detached. He'll be among them, but still not be one with them. It's like a lotus flower, doesn't get dirty so easily, right? Lotus flower never gets lotus leaf also, lotus leaf, never. Padma Patram Ivambasha. We saw that in the 5th chapter. A lotus leaf, how it stays. There's a wax layer of this one, and it doesn't absorb any dirt at all, like that. Accepting the importance of self-realization. So he knows the goal of his life. Okay. Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, Aratir Jana Samsadi, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, Tattva Jnanata Darshanam, Etat Jnanam Iti Proktam, Ajnanam Ed Ato Anyatha. See, so many qualities Krishna is mentioning. Detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. Is always doing this. All these I declare to be knowledge. All this is knowledge. Anything other than this is not knowledge. This is Krishna's verdict. If all this, whatever is mentioned here, you can read 100 times also. This is knowledge. Besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. How beautifully given. So what is self-control actually? Rejecting everything that is not favorable for Krishna consciousness is actually self-control. That is self-control. Whatever Krishna wants, that you do. Otherwise, don't do it. That is self-control. Okay, again, this slide has come. Let's see how much time we have. Because of all the Sankhya and all this chapter is little, feels like it's longer. But we can quickly go over this table so that we understand whatever we just discussed. So I'll just read. Amanitvam, humility. What does this mean? Not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. You go somewhere, say some relative, someone is not honoring you, or say they didn't treat you properly. What does it matter? What are you exactly? A devotee who is serving the Lord. What are we? That's all we are. So that consciousness, not really looking for any honor. Whatever you do so that Krishna is satisfied. Our duty is to satisfy Krishna, whatever it is. Whether it could be any skills or talent or working in the office or whatever. If a person is working in this consciousness, is not looking for, I want recognition, people should see me, people should praise me. Oh my God, that person didn't give me an award. A devotee does not care. There is this beautiful example of Tulsi Das. Once what happens, the king's, I think we already had discussed this before. The king sends his people to go and bring Tulsidas because he has heard about his glories. What beautiful composition, he writes so beautifully. He's such a, gnani. So he says, go bring Tulsidas, such a great devotee. I want to give him some gift. I want to give him a special place in my court. And these people go there and then they'll tell Tulsidas, you have to come. The king is calling you. He wants to give you some, special gifts and honor you. Tulsidas will just smile. He'll say, I'm doing so. He's just, why, Tulsidas is like that. Whatever he did, he was serving Lord Ram, not for public admiration so that people should clap. No, that was not his consciousness. So it doesn't make sense. He says, I am sorry. I'm just writing all this for my Lord. Nothing else. I really don't want anybody's can we only find a person like that? People constantly looking for competitions also, right? That's how the whole world is competing. But see this humility, it's so great. And we are still talking about Tulsi Das, who is not even here right now. Pridelessness, understanding you're not the body, Thus, honor, dishonor, everything is for the body only. Bodily designations, everything is bodily designation. So whatever somebody is offering, honor, dishonor, all that is for the designations only, are all the same. Non-violence, ahimsa, unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. If you cannot, do this, help people grow spiritually, then we are actually practicing violence. Tolerance, Shantri, be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. That is tolerance. Simplicity, straightforward, that you can disclose the truth even to an enemy. Okay? Accepting a spiritual master. See, simplicity, disclose the truth even to an enemy in the sense, it's done in a certain way actually, very, very carefully, in a very beautiful way. We have to use our intelligence here. Accepting a spiritual master, Acharyam, Upasanam. This is essential. Everybody should have a spiritual master in his life. Cleanliness, Shaucham, external. We have to clean our body every day, morning, Some people have 2 times, 3 times a bath, 2, 3 baths per day. Chanting, very important. By chanting and chanting and chanting repeatedly, we have been instructed to chant 16 rounds. If you can chant more, all the more better. Chanting, what does it do? It cleanses our heart, it cleanses our mind. So internal cleanliness, all the anarthas will run away. Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mara, Matsarya, all this will run away from us. Steadiness, Styrium. And the Lord is giving protection also. When you start chanting, He starts taking control of the devotee's life. Steadiness, Styrium, determined to make progress in spiritual life, no matter what, I'll progress. If progress might be slow, I think we discussed this also. There was this priest, in some temple in UK, and one politician visited him. I think we discussed this. I'll just tell this quickly. This person, the politician was asking him, how long have you been serving the temple? He says, some 30, 35 years. So what exactly do you do? He says, I'm a priest. So you didn't get any promotion? He'll ask. That person will laugh. When it comes to devotional service, there is nothing like that. No demotion, promotion. Cleaning the temple is also the same. Dressing the deity, if that is service, that is also okay. Priest, the job of a priest, that is also fine. Cooking for the deities, whatever we do, there is no competition going on. So, that person understands. It is determined to make progress should be made spiritually, not for anything else. It's self-purification. Self-control, Atma Vinigraha, reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement, control the senses. Renunciation of sense objects, not to cater to unnecessary demands, gratified only to keep body fit for devotional service. We have to maintain our body because it's a gift from Krishna. Why are we maintaining this body healthy, fit, and all? So that it stays clean and fit to perform devotional service. Absence of false ego. I am this body or mind. Accept that I'm Krishna's servant. Simple. Perceptions of evil. Janma mrityu, jaravyadi, dukkha doshanu, darshanam. Regularly hear about these from the proper source. Become disgusted with material life. It happens as you start progressing. See, Prahlad Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, they were emperors. They were sleeping on golden beds. They had everything. They were in the heart, they were pure devotees. It's not about opulence. Everything belongs to the Lord. Whether you have diamonds or gold, it doesn't mean, you should just reject everything. Who are we to reject anything at all? Because we don't own it in the first place. But the thing is, the consciousness is more important. All these were great emperors who lived in big palaces, ruled over their people. But Ramaraja, right? King Lord Ram, how he took care of his people. So here, when we say disgusted with material life, means some people are so greedy. They like to. We can say that actually in today's social media. Everybody is doing that. I have this, I have that, I bought a new phone, I have this new car, and this. I mean, they do that, right? When we look at that, coming to Krishna consciousness, we feel like, is this progress? What are we doing? Like, should be progressing in which direction? We actually should ask ourselves, slowly keep checking ourselves. No entanglement with wife, children, family, etc. Should practice it if you can do it in a Krishna conscious way. These children are coming from Krishna. They belong to Krishna. This house belongs to Krishna. This belongs. Everything is Krishna's. Everything is belongs to the Lord. So, and renounce if unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. Even-mindedness, not elated or distressed at material gain or loss, by performing unbreakable devotional service. Just keep performing devotional service. Some things don't go according to our plan. That was Krishna's will. That's it. You have to take it like that. Prabhuji also was saying one day he planned something and it didn't go that way according to the plan. To change the plan, the plan B, plan C, whatever. You're saying this was all Krishna's. That's how he works. We have to just work around. If it's something not working, then he's pushing us somewhere else. That's how it is. We don't know what is Krishna's plan. So we have to our job is to cooperate and do our best. Unalloyed devotional service, which is Ananya Bhakti, engaging oneself in the 9 processes of Bhakti. We know those 9 processes, right? Okay, few more. After this, if you want, we can stop and continue in the next class. Okay, aspiring to live in a solitary place, not desiring to mix with materialistic people. We see people who are really elevated, they don't like to mix with materialistic people. They will be sitting among them, discussing things and whatever, but their activities, the demeanor, the whatever they do is totally different. They live in the association of devotees only. Detachment from the general mass of people, just like above. Accepting the importance of self-realization. They know this is the goal. We will still go in the world, on use our skills, on money, because we have responsibilities, conditional duty, constitutional duty, all this we have to balance. But at the same time, we know our goal, importance of self-realization, we should understand. We give up unnecessary sporting, cinemas, non-devotional, social activities. We do not waste time. Philosophical search, rejection of useless research and philosophical topics. So all this. So Krishna has actually explained Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Purusha, Prakriti, and Gneyam, object of knowledge. So we covered so much. Brahman also means living entity, soul, spirit, material nature, impersonal effulgence that is coming from the Lord. That is also Brahman. So when if there is a quiz about what is Brahman, if you want to write, all these things can mean Brahman, living entity, which is nothing but soul, spirit. Then material nature is also Brahman. It could be referred to all this. And then impersonal effulgence of the Lord. So now we can stop here because we finished almost half the chapter. Process of knowledge we'll do in the next session. Cultivation of these qualities mentioned in these verses 13.8 to 12 is the real method of acquiring knowledge. Anything speculated beyond these items of knowledge is ignorance.